She told my mom when she's pregnant with me that if you have him, I'll help you raise him. That I wasn't accepted. I had to grow up knowing that they didn't want me there. I had to grow up knowing that I did not belong in a place where I was born into. And there were many times where, because I dealt with that, I dealt with suicide, I dealt with anxiety, I dealt with fear, I dealt with a lot of other things that came along with it. And I had to literally grow up and say, hey, you got to put your big boy drawers on and deal with this. And I had to deal with it. And one day, I went 5 years, like after I came out the closet to being LGBTIQ, ABCDEFG, all that. I don't even know all that, baby. But after I came out the closet, my mom and my father quit talking to me for almost 5 years. I went 5 years without talking to my parents. And what started our relationship to even go back to being a relationship was one day, 1 year for Christmas, I wrote out a letter and I put it inside of a card and I apologized for not being the child that they wanted me to be. I apologized for not being who they expected me to be. And then I also later on down the letter, I wrote another paragraph and I told them that I forgive them for not being the parents that I wanted them to be. And I think that that was very important. Like it broke something in the both of us because it let them understand that, yeah, I understand that I wasn't the child that you wanted. I know you didn't want a gay child. I know you didn't want a child that was sick. I know you didn't want all these things, but that's who I am. But it also let you understand too is that you weren't the best parent in the world either. You didn't do everything right. I didn't feel like I was the luckiest kid in the world to have you as parents. So yeah, but I mean that's something that I had to deal with, and yeah, I had to go back to the root of it, like before I was born, to the root and deal with it, and so it could be dealt with, and so that I can pluck it up. And honestly, it helped me be delivered from the opinions of people. It helped me be delivered from what people thought of me. It helped me be delivered from even being so hurt when people walk out of my life. I told us all the time, if you can go 5 years without talking to your parents, the ones who birth you, then anybody else living your life is not a bad thing. I mean, it becomes easier. So yeah, that's it.
That's true. That's true. I do have a question that you brought up, that you weren't the child that they wanted you to be. So when you went through the process of your deliverance from homosexuality, did that change with you and your parents at all?
No, it became worse.
Wow.
Uh, so they learned to. So in the process, I went through deliverance from hatred from my parents before I went through my deliverance from homosexuality.
Okay.
So our relationship started to grow, and then I became too churchy.
Mm.
Now I'm too saved. I pray too long. I'm always talking about the Bible. I'm too saved now. So I think it's just they just didn't want me, and no matter how much I try, they never will want me. And I've come to that resolve in my life is that there are just some people in your life, family, friends, or foe, that you have to let go of. And I've come to that resolve that they didn't want me there, so they make up any excuse of why they don't want me around, and I don't give them one. I don't come around. I see you, I pray for them, I cover them. If I see them on the street, hey, how you doing? And I keep on moving. I will never, ever, 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 ever be in a position to where I'm going to, uh, you know, kiss their tails just to be in their life. I'm just not going to do that.
Okay. Okay. I love that you said that you went through deliverance for the hatred of your parents first, before you can deal with whatever issues they had with you. You had to deal with the issues that you had with them. I love that.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, come
Most
on
definitely.
now. We digging this morning, y'all, because we gonna get to this stuff, and people don't understand that there's always a root to everything. It's not like one day you all of a sudden thought of something. There's always a connection to somewhere in your life where you have to go. Okay, so I'm gonna move back to Kelly. Kelly Webb, can you answer that?
Mm, um, yeah, yeah. I think mine is probably one or two, which would be uh my mom, well, three. My dang, my parents and my sister. So I guess my immediate family as a whole would be um mine. Like I I don't have that relationship that I always wanted with my sister. I feel like um I kind of feel like I don't have that relationship because my mom put us against each other. I feel like my mom put us against each other. More like, she's the favorite daughter, or I was married to her dad. You act like your dad. Those things. Um, and then with my parents, I'm always, literally when I say I'm in current tense, um, always the middleman. So it's a lot of pressure, and that's been for as long as I can remember. Um, it's interesting that Tyrell said that he grew up and he was sickly. I grew up and I was in the hospital, literally all my grammar school life, off and on my high school life, but not as extreme. But my grammar school life, yeah, I was the one that walked around in grammar school, back in the days with a heart monitor that looked like you was carrying a battery pack. I mean, an old school battery. Or I was uh, in a well, I don't know what they call it now, but it's like the children's ICU or whatever. I was the one that had to be in the tent because I couldn't breathe. I felt like for me, I felt like I was a cause of a lot of stuff because of health, but then I was also the cause because I was a child of my dad. I was my dad's child. So, um,
What do you mean by that?
what do I mean by I was my dad's child?
No, that it was the cause of you being your dad's child.
Um, no, well, I was saying the cause of my health and then the cause of being my dad's child because that's what I used to hear. I mean, it was, you just like your dad, you act like your daddy, you lie like your daddy, and and I could be telling the truth about it, but you a liar just like your dad, or it was something always that brought back my dad, and the bad part about all that was, I mean, I hear now, like, your dad was around and, your dad did these on Christmas. Your dad put together your bike for Christmas. Your dad, um, would, you would go to see your dad when you were younger. And I'm like, I remember seeing him when I was younger. And I think I brought this up to you before. I'm like, but I remember him calling me his lucky charm at the pool hall. Um, that's where you took me to go see my dad because that's where he was always at. And that was considered quote unquote quality time when I sat on the end of the pool table and he shot pool with his friends. I mean, that probably is the reason I'm good at pool. But um, yeah. So that's what I heard. I mean, and it's sad to say I still hear that sometimes. I think it's just now starting to dwindle. But if it doesn't come from my mom, she has to be aggravated about something. But it still comes from my dad. Like I'm that middleman, even when I'm not trying to be. Um, I feel like that's a huge part of rejection for me that I'm still working through, and it's not really the fact of not having a dad. My bonus dad was amazing. Like he made me understand what a daddy's girl felt like. So I was grateful, but to not have that with my dad, and then to finally hear my mom say a couple of years back, um, I'm sad for you that you feel like you need to understand what a daddy's girl feel like. And I didn't understand that. And this was only a couple of years ago. This was after I found my sister that I didn't know existed. But yeah, so now me and my dad don't talk at all because me and my sister have a relationship. My mom still has her moments, and my rejection with my sister, I don't really care about that one no more. So, but I think the one with my parents, it's a little hurtful because you want that relationship, especially when you see your sibling has that relationship. You kind of really want to understand, like, why don't I have that relationship with you? And if I have it with someone else, why are you so angry that somebody else is giving me what you don't? Unless it's something that's benefiting you, or it's something where I'm doing what you want. So, yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's good. We've talked about this a couple times, and I figured that's where you were gonna go to, because of the conversations that we have. But I remembered the pool table conversation, and I was thinking to myself, like, I wonder if that had anything to do with it. Because it was like, I get that you were with him, but not actually having that. It's about me time can cause issues like that, and being at a pool hall while you play with your friends is not about me. You know what I mean? It's just that it was your turn to keep me, so you got me. That sort of thing. Am I right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, pretty much. My mama wanted to have her time. My sister would be with her dad. Um, and I mean, I'm gonna be honest. If my if my dad didn't want to keep me, if my dad didn't, and I mean, after a while growing up, like,
Right.
okay, he just don't want to be around. If my dad didn't want to be there, my sister's dad would be like, "Come on, you going with us?" And so it's like I appreciated that too. Like I found out later that because of how my dad kind of came around when it was a benefit. Like if him and my mom got along, if my mama said she was cooking for him, or they were looking like it was this family thing, I guess. Oh yeah, my dad was all around. He was all gun ho, like you're with me, and now of course I want to be with her, but that's not happening. He not happening. But I was grateful, like I said, to have my bonus dad. And I gotta say, I was grateful to have my sister's dad. But then I think that caused the issue with me and my sister more because her dad kind of looked at me and was like, "You don't have to feel like you don't have a dad." Like he never said it to me, of course, because I was little, but that's how he treated me. And then I found out later that he was trying to convince my mom to let him adopt me because my dad wasn't trying to be there. But like my sister had one, two, three or four, two, three older siblings, and they all kind of huddled around me because one, I was the little small one, and then I was sickly, so it was like we want to kind of pamper her in without her feeling rejected, and that wasn't leaving my sister out, but in her eyes, like this is my family, and now you're kind of this is my dad. You should be with your dad. Like it was a couple times she said that. Why don't you just go with your dad while I'm with my dad? And I wouldn't know how to answer it outside of I don't know what you want me to do. Like
Right.
so yeah, that's yeah.
It's kind of like with those older siblings, you be wanting to say real. Like it's not my fault. They want me to go with them. Like, what do you want me to do? Just pick up the phone. It's like because they're feeling rejected too, as well because you're around, or they feel like they have something that's for them, or they're if they're anything like my sister, and I've met your sister, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and anything like those two, then you're sitting there going, you just mean. There's something else going on with you. There's a meanness or a hatefulness that's on you that you have to deal with, but you're taking it on me. And so I understand that whole thing of that rejection part, and feeling that. I looked up the word rejecting, Maya. You're not getting away. I'm coming back to you, Maya. I looked up rejection, and it says the state of being rejected. So I looked up reject because I wanted to make sure to get a full understanding of what the dictionary says. Like when people look up rejection, what do they see? And so it says to refuse to have, take, recognize, etc., or to refuse to grant a request, a demand, etc. um when it said to refuse to have, take, or recognize, I'm like, yeah, that can happen to people. You can be refused to have, and that will cause a spirit of rejection on you. People to take you or involve you in things that will cause a spirit of rejection if you're susceptible to it, or if you're open, like really sensitive to that thing. To the refuse to recognize, that's the biggest sign of rejection. When you don't recognize me, like you don't acknowledge that I exist, then I start to feel like I'm somebody else. And that can cause not only rejection, but also imposter syndrome. So you have to be aware. And yes, sir, be aware and understand what is happening around you at all times. On that note, I'm going to bring up scriptures, of course, that's going to cover the area of rejection because we're going to get back to our basics, y'all. Y'all know we have Bible thumpers that be on our program sometimes, and I want to make sure that we have our scriptures. But before we had the Bible thumpers on here, like those that are quick with finding addresses and stuff, I made it as simple as possible for those that was just learning and coming into the fold. So I would look up the scriptures and give them to you, and that's what we're doing today. We getting back to our bases and making sure that we are good to go. All right, Tyrell, have a great day at work. And so, wanting to get all of that goodness together. But before I do that, as I'm looking up these scriptures, I'm gonna run on over here to Maya and ask Maya about if she has anything like the spirit of rejection or had to deal with any kind of activity that she believes may have caused a rejection spirit to formulate in her. Because I'm not sure. I mean, Maya is like she's been on a roll the past few days here. Like that spirit been high. Go ahead.
Good morning. Um, yeah, definitely have. I had a absent father as well, so that's kind of like it come with the territory. And then my mom, outside of how our relationship has been a little bit rocky, um, outside of that, she had to work a whole lot more to kind of compensate for what he couldn't do, and I guess also, so she was kind of doing a lot of what she thought, I guess, would be, the best thing. What she trying to make up for like the duty piece that I would miss in a father, and also, pay the bills.
Right.
But definitely, and I told her this a couple times that, like, even as a kid, I was telling her, like, I really just need more just affection from you. And I've gotten some really just not great responses, which is, I guess also just trying to learn. I guess, I read something that said when you have kids, it just bring everything out of you. So I guess that was just kind of like some, I guess, from her rejection, also the dismissiveness that ended up falling onto me when I would say things like that. It's like, oh, you so sensitive, or even, I'll be more affectionate and more complimentary and more kind when you do something good. And, to
Right.
me now, that would be like, oh, that sucks, but, that's how you feel. But to me at 10, that's like, dang, like you sit in that. So it definitely, the spirit of rejection was on me for a while, and I think it showed up in that, like, I can't, like, I'm just now kind of realizing how much I matter, and how how sometimes, like, if people will compliment me and I'll just say, like, I just feel like lip service to me, because I didn't necessarily get some of those, words of affirmation. So I kind of, I told myself that I was learning to live without it, but it's really like an avoidant type of thing that I'm coming out of. Thank the Lord. um, and just stuff like that. Like, I'll see, little things. So I'm trying to, I've done some of the work, and I'm just coming out fully where it's just like, oh, what is that, Maya? Cause they ain't did nothing to you. They ain't said nothing wrong. What is that, and why you feel it in your belly? you know, where the especially if it's in your core. So yeah, that's part of it. And then it's also like not having that affection, and knowing, y'all know that my mother is a pastor. I would see her be so tender and loving to the other kids in the
Mm.
church, and to the other people, if they were going through something. I mean, she really would love them through it. And so, even seeing that and knowing now, you're capable of that, really, made that thing. That's where that really took root, I think, is where I would see it in other places, but it just wasn't extended to me. And then that brings you to the, well, what's wrong with me? And at that point, you're kind of, or I was kind of in my childhood, kind of stuck answering the wrong answer for a while, and that allowed it to go deeper. But that thing coming up and out. Amen. Hey.
Up and out. Hey, we don't play that. That's got to go. Up and out. We got the up and out cookies. We bringing it up and out. You know what? I love that. I love that you're able to even have the conversation in the midst of your deliverance, because you're already in the middle of it. When you can think of it that clearly and see where it comes from and understand what happened, then you're already on your journey of deliverance. It's not like you're stuck there. It's you're open to receive it. So we're gonna definitely be praying for that deliverance to come forth, and that you be able to know that you are loved and that you are special. Right? For you to be claimed by me, you got to be a special type of person. But just knowing that you are, even if you had never met me, your life in general is a blessing for other people because of who you are and whose you are. God did not create you for you to be rejected. He didn't create you for you to have to live your life feeling like you were less than. So being more than, that energy, that smile, that go getter mentality, that's you. So you just keep going forward with that. Hey John, I brought you up. Good morning. I don't know if he's able to talk this morning, but I want to check in and ask how dad is, even if you have to type for us, checking in on him. But y'all, I mean, this conversation so far is so good for me because I'm listening to what's being said and I'm remembering things that have happened. Um, a lot of your stories, if you think about them, are pretty much connected. They start with parental rejection, or things that the love wasn't there, or the level of love that you needed wasn't there. And a lot of people can only love you as far as they know how. Parents don't always get it right, but you can only give what you've got. And not saying that it's not their fault, because we also decide who we are and who we're going to be as parents. Because I know personally, I had to decide who I was going to be as a parent, and I almost left it in a space of I'll just be like they were to me. But then I decided my child wasn't going to be physically, emotionally, verbally abused like I was. That wasn't going to happen. So I changed how I parented, and he's come out different than me. But there's a lot of things too that I remember even from that were negative, that I'm like, I should have did this, or I should have added that in, because those are the things that push me to be better in certain areas. So yeah, I'm with you all on that, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. John, hey, saw that hand.
Hey, 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 hey.
So this is testimony. My dad has been on a catheter for about 2, maybe 3 years now, and they removed it. He's doing better.
Amen.
He finally got his appetite back, so yeah, everything is okay.
Yay. Amen. Is he talking
And
anymore?
Me and Kelly go to the same church, and our pastor was talking about miracles some weeks ago, and I'm like, I'm like, God, you literally just gave us a miracle. I'm happy about it.
I'm happy for you all. That's a blessing. That's a blessing because we definitely was
So the
praying for
title
you.
is called
Yeah.
Rejection.
Yes.
Oh, you know what? I didn't come in here to say my little spiel because you know when I get started, I get started. Kind of
I'm waiting on you to talk. Go ahead.
okay. I promise my TED talk will be. I
Sir.
will try my best.
Speak, sir. Speak.
Okay. So while we're on the space of rejection, I have on my dad's side of the family, I was more rejected cousin than another cousin, and I was like, oh wow, this cousin could get away with murder, and y'all will protect this person. But somebody could say something that I did, and y'all believe it. Like that was crazy. And it took me like years and years and years to actually heal from that place. I'm like, how we family, and y'all favor these people over other cousins, stuff like that. And then I happen to see there's a pattern like of it. So a lot of people on my dad's side were hurt because of rejection. So that's like a big thing that even in my prayer time, I asked God to remove the rejection and to remove the offense because when both of them play hand in hand, now you got somebody who is looking for people what they need to look for in God. So like it's like an idolatry thing that they gotta deal with in their hearts because you putting these people at a pedestal and what they do when they don't do what you expect them to do, you either feel rejected or offended and like it's both play hand in hand at some point. I was even watching an Instagram where this man they was shouting like the man was shouting he had his hand on the other man's shoulder and the man had pushed his hand off and the man started he's still shouting. I'm like, that's something where you can praise through your rejection. Sometimes rejection don't hit people. It's just to figure it out. It's sometimes it's just us, and then we learn to not be rejected. I know we're gonna have rejection, and some of us don't take it well. Some of us take it pretty good, but it depends on your posture of where you at. If you grew up with not having love or not having this, then the third, you gonna feel like okay, before I get rejected, let me back. Let me jump over here with these people, and I won't feel rejected. Sometimes it's kind of like a victim mentality. Like you don't want to be victimized no more, so you're just gonna like, okay, I can let I try and get up on that, try to get rejected again. And it's like a warning sign. But that's my people. This is my TED talk.
Mhm. Listen, that whole family thing and rejection because of the separation of how people treat each other, and like he said about the cousins, we've had that in our families where you've got one treated better than the other one. I had that happen in my family with my sisters, with my siblings, and I thought it was skin tone. I really thought that my mother favored her two lighter skinned children over me. I'm the only dark skinned child she has. But my brother and sister look very much more like her Caucasian side. And I was like, okay, I get that, but it was me. Like, why am I different? And they treated me different too. My siblings did. So I thought that this was why. Like my sister would say some really foul stuff to me, right? And it's not like they thought they were um, any less black. Let me tell you, it wasn't that. It just literally it was me, and I was like, what is it about me? I don't understand. I'm the youngest. Like I don't know what it is that I might have done. So I understand that separation thing when it comes to family. Like I could pick a few of my cousins that I knew that were the same way, but because of what my sister and my brother were saying about me, they kind of clung to that, and that's why they treated me different. So I was rejected a lot growing up as a child because of that. And so I'm like, this siblings are supposed to, in my eyes, your siblings are supposed to take care of you, especially when they're older. Your siblings are supposed to take care of you. Siblings are supposed to have your back. Those should be your first best friends as your siblings, right? That wasn't the way it was in my house. So it was like they were best friends, but I was like 5 years younger than the youngest one. So there was a gap, and then there was a separation. And of course, finding out later that they knew that their father was not my father, but I didn't know it. So I got mishandled without knowing what the situation was. So they knew why they were doing what they were doing. I didn't know. So on my end, it's just everybody hates me. So think about having that weight put on you to think that everybody hates you for no reason. So everything you do, you try to change up to try to figure out how do I fit? How do I how do I adjust me? How do I fix me? Like Maya said, what's wrong with me? How do I change it so I'm received? How do I change it so that I am added into the fold? How do I get them to laugh? And then I was younger then, so I wasn't really understanding a lot of this. So more or less as a child, I'm thinking, how do I get them to like me today? Just for today, even if it's just for a moment. How do I get that? How do I get them to not call me out of my name? How do I get my sister, who I share rooms with, to not literally torture me all day long with words, with hitting me with brooms, with just randomly doing? How do I get that to stop? Because apparently something's wrong with me. Now, mind you, that my mother wasn't mean to me, but she didn't stop what was happening either. Her husband was mean to me. So it was just a lot of um, torturous stuff. I mean, this dude literally, like, it was, I promise you, my counselors, because counseling, y'all, is important. Counseling is very important. And one of the things that I can tell y'all, my counselor tells me, and it tickles me when she says it, she goes, I'm surprised that you even still in your right mind after all of the stuff that you've gone through. I had to bring back to her my medical records and everything to show her, because I was called a liar so much that I wanted to make sure that people had receipts, which is why I'm real funny about receipts now, y'all. I talk about making sure you have a paper trail on the stuff you do, contracts, everything got to be written down, right? Keep a paper trail, something that's going to show. I don't care if somebody texts you, hold on to that. All of those things. And I talk about that. I screenshot stuff, I print stuff out. I became the receipt person. Why? Because literally I brought back my medical records from years and showed her how my parents, that I thought was my parents, that they put me on medication. They had me on Prozac for years. They made the doctors think I was crazy because I was telling them, finally had started talking about all the abuse that was happening to me at home. And they told them that I was lying, that everything that I said that was going on in my home was a lie, that all of the abuse that I was having, the scars I got playing outside, um, things that was just happening to me mentally when I would have breakdowns, that they thought that something was seriously wrong with me. So my mother took me there and signed all of my health records, all that stuff. She had control over that already because I was under 18. But because she had them deem me psychologically unstable, she became the person that was over all of my health issues until I was 21 years old. Like everything was under her name. I couldn't come off of my medications without her approval. I couldn't go to my counseling sessions without her being there. Like there was always something that was holding me back. And for me, that became rejection for me. Every time I had to go to the doctor, every time I had to go and talk to somebody who's not listening to the child, because they're not listening to me, they're listening to my mother about me. But you're not asking me what the issue is. You're talking to my mom. You're
I mean,
talking
it
to
felt
my
like a
abuser.
form of manipulation.
And it
I
was.
mean,
It
mm,
was. You're talking to my abusers. And like I said, my mother wasn't mean to me. My mother was scared for her life. And I had to realize that later on that she was afraid of her husband. So she was being abused as well. But then you're not thinking about that. Then when I was younger, it was why does she hate me so much that she's allowing this to happen to me? And why is she doing this to me? Like they would literally get me to the hospital and give me medication there because she started to tell them that I wasn't taking it at home. They found out that I started hiding the medication because I'm like, this stuff keeps me loopy. I can't function, and you're sending me to school like this. Like, how do I function at school if I'm high? Because that's pretty much what it is. I'm mentally just disturbed right now, and y'all causing the mental disturbance, but y'all saying it's me. It was just all of that. So rejection for me at home was total package. Like I'm a fifth person in a house full of people who grew up by themselves. That's the way I explain my life being at home. I grew up alone in a house full of people, and I raised myself. So when I moved out the day, well, when my mother put me out, because that's the way she called herself saving me from her husband, was to put me out of her house, which was the best thing. Let me tell you that she could have done. But I was 16 years old. I just graduated high school. Literally came home from high school and my stuff was packed and she was like, "You're getting in this car and you're going to stay with your boyfriend," a dude that I had met by my grandmother's house. His mother took me in. They had had a conversation that I didn't know about, and that's where I went to stay. And I was like, it gave me an opportunity, but I also was growing into my own because I was making decisions early on and not understanding that God was covering me, not understanding that I had the prayers that I had been praying all these years would come into light, that I had to take care of myself. So I had to grow up fast. And I did that. But my thing was rejection was serious. And y'all, when I say rejection was so bad, like this was intentional. This wasn't just that even her husband being abusive was not just that he had a mental issue. There was some other stuff that like he knew he wasn't my father. He knew this. And I was like, this is not all of this was a lot. So how I knew that the reason why all of this stuff was happening to me was because I was in their house is I moved out at 16. I talked to the landlords where we stayed at maybe like a year later because I was gone for a year, right? And when I went to go back over there, my mom was gone. I'm looking for my mother. Like, where is she? Like, what happened? And we had talked on the phone a few times, but not as much. I was just trying to stay clear of everything. And the landlord goes, "Oh, wow, you don't even know. Did you know that like 3 months after you were gone, your dad left?" And I was like, "What?" "He left your mom here. They were behind rent on like 6 months. He hadn't paid the bills over here." He said, "We have been going back and forth. So when you moved out," he said, because I saw him that day. When I was taking my stuff out, he actually helped me bring my stuff off of the porch. And I was like, "Are you kidding?" He said 3 months later he was gone. I said, "So he stayed around just to abuse me? Like, where's your what?" What? So, in that process of all of that, I'm like really messed up now. Like, oh my God, it literally was me. I wasn't crazy. It was me. And y'all, even though I wasn't in her home when I would go to the doctor because I didn't know about changing doctors. I'm 16. I don't know about changing doctors. I barely was taken to the hospital until they started giving me medication. I would start to like try to, go to the doctor and they would call my mom. Like she's coming to the doctor. And my mother would actually come to the doctor where I was like, I couldn't see anybody without her. My insurance, all of that stuff was her. So she would come and let me go to the doctor and sit in on those. And again, still telling them everything I said was a lie. He's gone. That whole year, I didn't even know he's gone. She never said anything. So it's that rejection thing starts to build up in you, and you take that with you everywhere you go. And especially when you have father issues, you will start to look for something to replace that hurt that you had or that parental guidance that you need, whether it's father or mother. You start to look for that, and so I started to date um, older guys that now I can tell you all really resemble my stepfather, like a lot. It's terrible. And I ended up having Brandon from a man that was just like my dad, just like him. I was like, I cannot believe that I mimicked this life. Oh, I got out of that thing. But I'm just saying, I was different. I was determined. In my head was, I won't be my mom though. I won't be my mom. I'm not going to allow, I won't be my mom. But I did that relationship off and on for 20 years, still not being my mom. Like we argue, we would fight, we would go back and forth, but I'm standing up for mine, I'm standing up for me. And that's the way I was like, if you don't want me, you don't want me. But I keep leaving and you keep finding me. And it's like not seeing that that was a bad thing. That's how bad that will mess you up when you're rejected. You don't even notice that somebody being narcissistic with you. You don't understand you're in danger. You don't understand that this is a bad relationship because any attention is good attention when you've been rejected for so long. So you have to learn how to adjust. And like I said, I thank God for my counselors. I thank God that because in order for me to do the medication that they were giving me, Prozac is such a strong medication that you have to go to counseling. Then you had to see a counselor at my age to be on that medication, and my counselor was open to the new one they gave me. Was open to listening to me, and so I would tell her like, I don't want my mom in here. Like, can we figure that out? Is it a way for my mom not to be in the room with me? And she was like, are you scared of her? I'm scared of what she might do. And I'm scared of her telling her husband, or then it was my dad, that I'm telling you stuff that they're lying on me. That like all of this stuff is true. So when I got this counselor here, I brought my medical records all to her. Like, here you go. And she went through my medical records. And when she contacted me back, she said, we need an in person meet like ASAP. When she came in, the first thing she did, y'all, and I love her to pieces. She walked up. She said, "I'm asking first. Is it okay if I touch you?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's fine. What are you doing?" Not understanding that she's a woman of faith, not understanding who she is. She just walked up and started hugging me, and she's hugging me, and I'm hugging her, and I'm like, "What's wrong?" She was like, "I just want to hug the miracle that you are." I just want to hug who God created. I just want to hug you and let you know that you're going to be fine. Like literally, you went through hell and back, and you still have a mentality that works. You are still functioning. You are still taking care of your household. You are still taking care of your son. Your son is not out here doing reckless stuff. She was like, you became the best mom you know how to be just off of that. I just want to hug who you are. And that thing got me. Y'all, I'm in tears. I'm like, don't make me cry. Like, we don't do crying. That we don't do that over here. I ain't no punk. Don't be making me cry. And she was just like, no. She's like, I just needed to see you to your face and tell you that I'm gonna be in your life for the rest of your life. Like, even if I'm not your counselor, I'm your sister, and like you're stuck with me. And I was like, okay. Because I was just thinking it's fine. You want to be around, great. For me, okay, if you want to be around, but when you don't, just go. You ain't even got to tell me. Just deuces. I'm good. But I had to learn how to change who I was, and that's what I did. When I first found out I was pregnant, everything about me, the anger, the frustration, the madness, the recklessness, because I was reckless, y'all. I mean, bad. And I was like, no, I will not be that parent for my child. I'm gonna have to dip off and hanging out in these streets. I'm gonna have to slide over here. I'm not going to that party. I'm not gonna be doing this. I tried to become the best mother that I thought a mother should be, and that's the way I based off how I parented as well. I parented my son off of what I thought a parent should be after seeing other people's parents and realizing that my parents were not normal. Like this, what was happening in my house is not what was happening in everybody else's house. And I thought that. It's like, well, this is what stays happens in this house stays in this house. So this must be what happens in everybody's house. No, I got a chance to go to a friend's house for the first time, and I was like, wait a minute, her dad doesn't come here swinging at them. What is going on? Like, I mean, he came in and I was, hey y'all, and I was like, what is, what is going on? What in the matrix? Just like, why? Why? Okay, I'm nervous. I just stepped into a house that they acting like this. So are they acting like this because I'm around? Because yep, that's what happened at my house. You walk in the house and everybody's hunky dory, and the husband's acting like he happy I'm alive, and I'm just like, oh, they doing that thing that we do at the house. No, And I'm looking at her mom, and her mom is like, no, come on in. We having this. We're doing this. And I'm thinking, this got to be wrong. Until I start talking to her on the phone, and you can hear them doing the same thing on the phone. Or I come over and I'm on the porch, and I can look through the window behind me and see that they the same way all the time. I'm so confused. I'm like, shut up. This is the way life is supposed to be. Got it. Something's wrong here. And then I started to change things up. Like, I'm not going to be that. I need to turn this around. I want to be what I see that I feel like is positive, and that's the mom I became for B. And I feel like doing that adjusted not only his life, but it adjusted mine like dramatically. Where I could receive other people around me. I can receive other people's children who are broken. I can help them in those areas because I've been there, and I had to learn how to love me. So once I learn how to love me, now I can teach other people how to love themselves. So, as John said, that's my TED talk. That's my Tennille talk. That that's pretty much where we are with that. Amber J has jumped in with us, y'all. And before we go to the second half, I want to give her an opportunity to talk. Good morning, Amber J. Reese's
I'm
Pieces.
here. I'm here. You was talking real good, and I was waiting for my phone. That hurt when I was like, no. Good morning. How are you? Good morning, everybody. Hallelujah.
I so love you. You are funny. All right, so our topic today is rejection. And so my question was, um, tell me about a time that you felt rejection. And today I was telling our crew to dig, like go deep, dig with that, and find out if you can, if you know what your rejection is and where it started from, you can reveal that. Or if there's a part of your life where you know that it just took hold to, let's talk about that. What you got, Amber Jane?
Wait, I'm digging. Hold on.
She said, "Wait, I'm digging, y'all. I'm not gonna fool with Amber this morning. This is Amber. Like, let me think on it. Give me a second."
Okay. Okay. Okay, I got one. This is an interesting one. Interesting to 10. All right. Um. So I think how pregnant was I? I don't know. It was towards the end because you could actually see me being pregnant. I don't know how that happened, but anyway, it was towards the end of my pregnancy, and for whatever strange, just like, you just don't be in your right mind when you don't submit to the Lord. So your mind ain't right anyway. Just my mind was ate up. So I was determined to make this little family work. I had no intentions of staying with this man, but I was like, well, let me stick it out since got a baby and all this stuff. So it was towards the end of pregnancy, and I was still working. I was working. Think 2 weeks up until I had the little booger, and the 2 weeks before I had him, the other parent he quit his job. He came because I was staying with him at the time. He came back and he said, "Yeah, I'm done. I'm done." I'm like, "Done with what?" He's like, "Yeah, I quit." "You quit?" I was like, "Do you see? Do you see my stomach?" Now, I said other things, saints. I said other things, but to say it in the most holiest ways, I said, "You have lost your mind, and the baby is due. I'm still working. Why aren't you?" Hallelujah. I know that rhymed, but yeah. Yeah, and he stopped working, and in that moment, and it was like 2 a.m. in the morning. I felt it was like a real deep part of rejection because I'm like, so I'm not good enough for you to actually. Now I was alone most of the pregnancy too. He wasn't at home. He was always doing some side gig that never made any money. I don't know how that worked. Or he was out with his people. Um, The living arrangements was jacked, but I was like, maybe it gets better, And I think I really put myself in a state of rejection because I rejected everything good that the Lord had promised me because I felt like I didn't deserve it because of my situation. So I really felt like in that moment, I rejected myself. Um, and why are you crying? Ain't nothing wrong with you. Ain't nothing wrong with you. I'm making breakfast. Yeah, so in that moment, I felt like I really did. Like, I just rejected myself because I never, and anything good, I just said, oh, well, I don't deserve it because I'm pregnant out of wedlock. And yeah, that's what I did to myself. But I'm better now. Hallelujah.
Okay, so I got a question for you. In the process of what you went through, did you feel like he was rejecting you, or you felt like he was rejecting the baby?
Oh, definitely me because I was you know when I found out I was pregnant, I was like, oh, okay, I oh I wasn't really sad. I was never really sad that I was pregnant. Um, if anything, I was relieved that it wasn't twins.
Yeah, you were very
I
much
was
so.
because I remember everything I told the Lord. I was like, oh, I want twin boys. I just want twins, Lord. And and now I'm like, oh wait, I'm actually pregnant. Lord, forget what I said. If you're listening right now, forget what I said. I don't want twins. So, I got my boy though, hallelujah. But yeah, I really rejected myself. I never rejected the child because he came out perfect. Amen. He came out real perfect and just pretty, the prettiest boy in the world.
Wait, did you say you rejected yourself?
Yes.
Okay, so with his dad, do you think he was rejecting you, or do you think he was rejecting the baby?
Um. mm, honestly, the baby.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
because of how things are now,
Mm-hmm.
um, the idea of being a parent was nice for him. But when it was time to produce, like when I say when it was time to produce, I mean like, oh, you're gonna be mad at me because I ain't tell you this. When I mean like the night, the following night that I was at the hospital and y'all left, he was gone. He left. He left the hospital.
What?
Oh yes, he did. So I found out very quickly that this was not gonna work. Hence why 2 months later, we was back home. Well, back at my mom's house. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Wow. Mm.
As soon as you get off air.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God. Look, y'all kept a secret from me. I kept a secret
Right.
from you.
Oh, payback is a mug, isn't it?
F2G secrets revealed.
Oh, secrets revealed. Y'all, when she say y'all kept a secret, we had a secret. Our secret wasn't as bad as that one. Like I would have came back to the hospital. And just for y'all who don't know, and I think everybody on here pretty much is probably with the exception of Miss Sandy, knows that Ember's baby is my godson. And so I was at the hospital the night he was born. We were there for what, 2 days with you while you were going through, and then we
Yes,
left
man.
because I thought I left. I only left because I thought he stayed. And that was the agreement, was like, I'm gonna be there if nobody else is there. And so she didn't even call me to tell me he left. So, I can't even be mad because our secret was that the baby started walking for me before he did his mom and his dad. And I didn't know. And I called his dad, so his dad got to see it before his mom did. And then I had to turn around and fake like we hadn't seen it. It was like, whoa, check this out. so so I went because I wanted her to have that experience, and I'm like, she's been trying to get this baby walk for a while, y'all. Just give it to her, Jesus. I mean, I'm sorry that I'm finna lie to her, but I needed her to make sure, you know, I gotta make sure that I can give it to the whole part of it. So yeah, yeah, I'm gonna let you have that one because it's been 5 years now. So I'm not gonna don't do that again, okay?
Of course
Don't
not.
do- Thank
Now
you.
look, today, not to in today's day and age, oh no.
No,
Mm-mm.
and my goal is this next one that's up and coming. When the husband come, I will be there until we all go home. How about that?
You know
Amen.
what? With the way the government set up, it might be at home. Jesus,
You
Jesus.
know what? Hey, I know some good doulas, and so do you.
Yeah, yes, we do. Do the do.
Yes, we got some people, that know what they doing. We can do this at home. Okay, I will get certified as a midwife. Let's go. I'm ready. So, listen, it's a lot going on, okay, in the government. So you just got to be ready for all that you need to be ready for. Um, I want to say good morning to Micah. I think he's in the office today. So good morning, Micah. He'll definitely be in the chat, y'all. But listen, as we are adjusting right now to go into our commercial break for the radio, you are listening live to F2G Radio. I am Sunil. I'm your host today, and the the F2G execs are on today. Our moderators are in the building, and also our F2G crew is on today. And we have some guests that's out here. So listen, get ready, get set, let's grow. That's what we doing. We growing in the season. It's time to come outside of that spirit of rejection. We're not gonna carry that around with us anymore. And a lot of us are still carrying it around, but I want you to take what you're learning today and what you're hearing today and apply that to your life. If it'll work for you to adjust, then adjust your thinking. It starts in your mind. Your mind and your relationship with God, that's where you start this at. Prayer time, getting that prayer time in. If you're not a believer, hear me. And I always say, we don't knock the non believers. If you're not a believer, I'm telling you, this is a great time for you to become one. If you've decided that you don't want to become a believer in Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, that's up to you. I'm not gonna beat Jesus over your head. I mean, he's still with you. I'm not gonna beat him over your head. I'm just gonna say this. When you're ready, if you need help, contact us. One of us will walk you through the process. That's why we're here. We're gonna do that. The other thing is, while you're going through life, make sure that you remember that there's always somebody on your right. He got your back all the time. My son did that on TikTok. What's that one? He's on the right of you, he's on the left of you, he's on the front of you, he's on the back of you, and he just kept
Oh yeah, I like that one.
in every direction. And I was like, yes, I'm going to listen. If I can find that video of it, it won't do sound, but it'll show you. He went in every direction. He's like, God is always around me all the time. And it just reminds me every time I think about how God stays with us and how he loves on us, regardless of what we've done, he's still there. Regardless of how it happened, he's still there. And in this house, in this room, we try not to be judgmental as much as we can. Don't get me wrong. We argue like a family on here, okay? And love on each other afterwards. And we'll tell each other about yourself, and you tell me about myself, and we're gonna move on. There's no big eyes and little U's on this platform. That's not the way we work it out. I mean, we got moderators who do their job, but that's the way we roll. So I'm excited. Y'all in his comments talking about talking about Micah talking about Maya's shoulders are out. I can't. I promise you, Maya, you were right yesterday. Not us thinking that you're 12 years old. Sorry. It's life. That's just the way it work out. But we go ahead into our commercial break and Clubhouse, y'all know how we do it. I'm gonna put the radio on commercial break and we will be right back and y'all can continue to talk because that's the way we roll. Okay. So let's get it. Let's go. Radio. All right, F2G Radio. We are coming back from our break in just a moment. You all rest easy right here. Don't leave. We'll be back with you with more of Rejection right here on Morning Social. I am Sunil, your host, and I love being here with y'all. Let's get it.
Okay, gotta say this. So I done heard all the conversation about the parents and the siblings and the shots and Amber. You already know how I feel about that one. Especially when I get that. I actually was sitting over here thinking, do I feel like I have a That's on the girls.
Hey y'all, hey, this is Camille and I'm your host this morning for Morning Social. We are back on FTGRadio.net and live right here on Clubhouse at Facebook, the Java Network, which is FTG Network on Clubhouse. We are excited about this morning. Let me get this music down a little bit for y'all. This music's gonna change me in song. Y'all hear this? Almost made me shout. Huh? I almost got there. So y'all, we are back with you on topic this morning. Rejection. Are y'all ready to get back into this? And yes, there was some side conversation. So if you want to hear what was being said and read what's been in the comments, you have got to join us on Clubhouse to do so. And you can watch it on the replay or you can come in and pick it up at any time you want to on patreon.com. Okay, that's patreon.com/. F2G will drop that in the comments. One of my moderators handle that for me, and I'll make sure that we get this over on social media. It is live week this week, y'all. We are live on all platforms. This week alone, we do this once a month where all of our platforms get streamed at once. So we are live on F2G Radio on Facebook. We are live on F2G Entertainment on Facebook. We are live on my personal page on I Am Tennille on Facebook, I Am Tennille on YouTube, and then Faithful to God Network on YouTube. So we are live on all of these platforms, including the radio station and Clubhouse. So let's get into this conversation. Rejection. Let's start off with a tip from Tennille. My tip today is believe in you and receive from God. Because if you don't believe in you, you're not going to be able to receive from him. If he's pouring in more onto you or pouring more into you or giving you downloads and you don't believe that you're more than what people have said you are, you can't receive that. Start believing in you. Start believing that you are better than your situation. So that's gonna be my tip from Tennille today. All right, y'all, let's get into it. I'm ready to get back to this conversation. We left off with Amber J talking about something I should have knew about 5 years ago. But let's go ahead. It's okay, I understand. I get it. And so we are live on our platform. We have Kelly Webb with us this morning. Amber J is with us this morning. Tyrell is with us this morning. Maya is with us this morning. John is on. Michael's in the comments. This is Miss Sandy's in the audience. Hey, y'all. Hey, and all of you great people that are on all of our other platforms. You have a comment section. Go ahead and use that. I'll be your mouthpiece this morning. So if you're dropping those in, thank you for the hearts, people. We love you. Go ahead and drop that information in, and I'll be reading those into here. If you have questions, please drop them in. One of our panelists may be able to answer them. You never know. That might draw Micah up into the, up on the platform. It may. He likes to answer questions when he got the answer. Amen. Amen. All right. So let's get back to our conversation this morning, y'all. Make sure you're sharing these lives and make sure that you are pinging people in. Platform people, go ahead and ping some folks in and get them in here. So let's shift this. And what I'm going to do is I'm tossing the mic today. So I need y'all to ask one question, and I need two panel people on each question to answer. So we're going to make this conversation a little bit more lively. I like being part of the conversation when I don't know. So I'm going to toss the mic to Amber J and ask Amber J to drop us a question.
You want me to ask a question? That's
I
what you said?
do, yes.
Okay, let me see this. Let me see.
We stay ready
Um,
around here.
question. Well, like this is the only time I really get to talk to adults because rest of the days, I get yelled at by children and
Oh,
not my child, the children over
uh-uh,
the phone. So,
uh-uh.
um, my question is, oh, I got it. Why do you think now? I don't know. Y'all don't hit me. Why do y'all think for the people that some people that have a whole bunch of kids, right, have been rejected by their mother and father, and then they end up struggling? Why is that? Like, why keep having kids if they? I I never understood that. Have y'all noticed that with some people? I
Okay, just
have.
make sure we clear. You talking about the parent feeling rejected or the child?
The parents, the people that have all these kids have been mishandled, and they want a whole bunch of kids because they don't want to be
Oh,
alone and blah
right.
blah blah. They they can't
That was
they bite off more than they can chew. You know what I mean? Like why do we overwhelm ourselves with things to cover up rejection? Like I've never understood that.
listen. I was like, well, we see that pretty personally because But I mean, that happens with men's too. It's not just with men's. Did y'all hear that? That happened with men too.
Men's.
that happened with men too. That doesn't just happen with women, because some men make a lot of children outside of their marriage or even within their marriage, because they want somebody to love them, and they need for somebody to love them because they've been rejected. And that's like the situation that we have even with Brandon's father. He the same way. All these kids that you had outside of what was going on in front of you. Like you got so many here, and then you got one over here and two over here, but you got all of these kids because you want your name to mean something, but you also want to be loved. And you figured if you sprinkle them around, this one might not be happy with you today, but this one over here will love you. And so that was the thing with him. We actually got a chance to talk about that. And he said that because he felt like he wasn't loved by his father when his mom died at 12, he didn't have anybody else but his dad. And his dad wasn't showing them the love that he needed. So he ended up in the streets doing this. And this was his way of making sure that he had somebody to love him. But he was, now you got all these kids that you got to take care of, because I wasn't going. So, I was like, either you going to help me, or I'm gonna go to courts and let them help me, because this is crazy. But then it also dwindles down. Like we have to watch that because it'll dwindle down to your children. And so Brandon started to feel rejected because he would see where dad is with this one and not with him. And then we got to deal with the rejection there. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna fix that. But that happens with men and women. We do the same thing. We're nurturers. So we have all of these kids because we're like, we're gonna give them everything that we didn't have. But you're constantly having children, or trying to find, for women that have multiple baby daddies, or I hate saying baby daddy, but babies' fathers, they are really just trying to find something that they didn't get out of the men, and the babies are there because they're trying to keep them around. Some people do that too. It don't work, but for some reason the mentality goes that if I have a baby with him, that connection is gonna be there and he's gonna stay. That's what I take from that. Kelly,
Am I answering or am I asking?
you answering?
Okay, so um, in regards to that one, I actually have a cousin um, that says that she has. Hold on, wait. This is 2023. I think 14 children now. Um, and her whole thing was because, wait, is it 14? Hold on. It might be 16. I might be off by a few numbers, but she has a lot. So I have a lot of little cousins. Sadly, she doesn't have any of them. Her whole thing was because she didn't receive, and she's not lying, she didn't receive the love, affection, or the attention from my auntie, um, that as a baby, or as a child in general, but definitely as a baby, that she just wants to keep having babies so she can feel that I needed, um, like I'm wanted, I'm needed, like for your survival you need to have me, for my survival I need to have you, if that makes sense. And she's literally said, like, I'm obsessed with having children, um, because they need me when they're younger, but once they start like walking and talking and being more independent, she doesn't want them anymore. And that's the sad part. Like all of my little cousins are with their dads. I forgot how many that is, but yeah. So I don't know if we have any new ones coming. I think she's had to stop for like her own health purposes, but that's been what she said. Her mother married her off to a man when she was 14 or 15, and he was 26. Um, so yeah, like that was she didn't feel like being bothered, but ever since then it's like that was her reason. So I think, in my opinion, from knowing my cousin, I mean, and I love her to pieces, like don't get me wrong, but knowing her story and knowing my auntie, like I get it, but that was it. Like she needed to. feel needed. It wasn't necessarily about the child, but for her, it was, I need to feel needed, and a newborn realistically needs their mother, or they need someone, even if it's not their biological mother. They need someone.
And then also with that, you look at, if you talk to the younger girls that have babies that are like in their teens, and they've got a couple of kids. I've talked to a few of them. I mean, I went to school with some and was able to talk to some more recent. Their thing too with that is babies don't talk back. Babies don't need a lot. Babies, but they do. Like you're looking at that other people are supporting these babies until they get to the stage of walking. But it's the cuddling of it. There's no rejection there because they need you. They need to be that close to you. Whereas when they become a toddler and they're now pushing away, like, okay, I'm independent now. You can put me down. I can walk. I don't need to sit on your lap all the time. I can go. Whereas a baby, they can pick them up and put them down like baby dolls. So it's like I have this living, breathing thing that loves me regardless. It's going to love me because I'm mom. It's going to love me just because I'm here. And so they attach to that. And as sad as it is, if we don't teach our young girls and young men both, both. If I can say that, both. It is not just teaching the young girls, but young girls and our young men about respecting themselves, loving themselves, and not needing somebody else to love them. That's what we're going to have is a whole bunch of young teenagers with a whole lot of children that don't have fathers or don't have moms around that take care of them, and everybody's grannies got the babies or they separated all over the place. It's like you have to be careful with those things. So even within, all of the things that's happening around us, we need to be aware of what's going on so we can know how to, I say attack the situation because that right there is a mental disease to just have so many children that you cannot take care of and then to sit there and say, well, I didn't, I had the babies, but they didn't help me because they said, well, what made your mind think that they were gonna stick around to help you if they got 15 other kids and they didn't help them either? You know, that that was my mentality too. Was he got other kids, but I thought he was taking care of his kids, and I was like, wait a minute. Then I found out my son wasn't the only one born in that year. Just saying. Wait, that's a lot. But after that one, I was like, I'm done. We're good. I've learned my lesson. So B is the only child, and I was serious about him being a forever only child. I'll help raise the other 13 godchildren I have. Well, the other 12. I'm already counting it, Amber. I'm already counting the 12 that I have now, and all the other ones that call me mama. Amen. I'm good there. I'm straight. So yeah, that was it. So I'm finna toss the mic one more time, y'all. I'm finna toss the mic. I'm gonna toss it to Maya. Maya, what you got? Maya, are you there?
Yes, hello.
Hello. I always catch y'all when y'all walk away from the phone.
I said I'll be right back. I am washing my hair, so I missed whatever happened, whatever happened.
Oh, I didn't even see that. Go ahead, finish your hair. John John.
Thank you.
Are you there, John John? Are you there? All right, Kelly Webb. I tried to give
Okay.
you a chance.
So no, that's cool. So question would be, are we staying along the lines of Amber's question, or I'm able to ask a whole new
You
question?
able to ask a whole new question.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm. All right. So my question would be along the lines of, when we're dealing with rejection, why do we find it so difficult to actually move through it? Um, and then, well, I'll say move through it on the basis of you're still trying to have that relationship with a person that you feel has been rejecting you, or you've been rejected by. Does that make sense?
Repeat it one more time.
Okay, so maybe if I ask it a different way. So the person or persons that have rejected you, it doesn't matter if it's a family member, a job, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but in the process of saying, I need to move through this rejection, Why do we find it so difficult to actually move through the rejection completely? Because we still want to have that relationship, or we need to have that relationship with the person or people that have rejected us.
You just answered your own question. You asked the question and then answered it. Literally, you just answered your own question. It's because we want to have a relationship. It's the rejection part comes from not being wanted or not feeling like they want us. And although they're rejecting us, it's something in us as humans that just drive for it. I don't like for people not to want to be around me. And what is it about me? I need to have that relationship, especially when you're a family member or somebody close to me. Because we're built to be a family. We're a body, a part of a body. We're built to be a family. God created us to be as one body. So when those people reject you, your mentality goes into why am I being rejected? What am I doing wrong? Who am I? Why am I so different? All of that stuff. But you still desire to fix that relationship because it's in us to be a family. I mean, I did it with my sister for a long time, and I told you before that, she was not just verbally abusive, she was physically abusive. Like, it'd be one day that she'd be beating me with a broom or smacking me with something, and then the next day she's all smiles because she needs something from me. And I received that from her. Like, okay, fine, that's you. You're off. We already know this, but you're gonna you're gonna love on me because you need something. So I always made sure that I knew as much as I could about the things that I knew she didn't know. So she would have to come to me
Mhm.
because I just wanted that bond. And like when we talk about sisterhood, you're like, oh, you're a good sister. She didn't teach me that. Somebody else had to teach me that because I thought sisters were horrible. I was like, you know what? I figured out that sisters are the worst things in the world. Why do people have two girls? I was like, I don't understand exactly how. Amber, what do you mean Clubhouse is broken?
It kicked me out,
Oh,
and then when I came back in, it said I couldn't get in the house. And then I looked in the hallway and the room wasn't there, and I'm like, Lord, I know it's there.
and you let them know you got keys? I understand.
Yep, and they had to let me back in. Break me
Amen.
out the plastic. Hallelujah.
No, you ain't feeling brand new. So we're not gonna do this. So it's that whole thing in itself, feeling like you're rejected, trying to find that peace, wanting that relationship, trying to find somebody that loves you, especially when it's somebody that you have to live in a household with or that you have a close bond with. Because going to grandma's house, I don't know if anybody else had this, but going to my big mama house, everybody was there every weekend. Grandma's house was the card game hut, the place where people came about their beers and stuff when they couldn't get to the stove. It was the place where you came and hung out and spent the night all weekend. Like that was the longest sleepover that I had ever been to. But you was in the house with all of your siblings, all of your cousins, the aunties and uncles have come in from other cities, and everybody is in grandma's 3 bedroom apartment. We got the covers on the floor, pillows all over the place. Folks is on the couches on the floor. I mean, it looked like we were not supposed to be in that country. I mean, just we done piled up, just making sure that everybody's safe, everybody in one spot. But that's the way we dealt with things being a family. But then it would be like, well, if my sibling is mistreating me, or if she had nothing else to do, then she'll mistreat me, and it'll cause the cousins to mistreat me. Like that was fun for them. And so their mentality I figured out was just messy. That's what was broken, Amber. It was a broken family, and like it was disturbing to be a part of that family. But I mean, I think they kind of caught on that I pretty much don't care now. So a lot of stuff that they say or do, because it hasn't stopped. They still make little comments and things like that. But now that I know who I am and I've learned more about myself, understanding who my dad was and the reason why my stepfather hated me so much, and now knowing that my sister, and I was able to call my sister out on it before she passed away, that and yeah, I said called out on that. I know y'all like that's not the way you're supposed to handle that. I'm sorry if you're sensitive to this, but I called her out because you knew, and now I understand why you tortured me with your father. That's why my daddy ain't your daddy. Ever since I was like 9, 10 years old, And it was just like a constant thing. So, I was like, I was able to call her out on that and get an actual answer from her about the situation. And her answer was, I didn't know, but God revealed to me, yes, she did. And then my mother had to confirm, yes, she did. But in my head, mind y'all, I'm hearing this in 2018 from her. And I'm still trying to have a relationship with this woman. This is the same woman who tried to put my business under, like literally ran my name through the ground. This is my blood related sister, my mother's daughter. And my thing was, you hate me that much. She blamed me for our mother being abused, and she told me that herself. You're the reason why he was hitting her. How is a 5 year old, like she's been blaming me since I was 5 years old, according to her. How is a 5 year old responsible for a grown man putting his hands on his wife? I am the result of an outside of marriage relationship. Mind you, that her husband had 4 other children outside of their marriage before she got pregnant with me, before my mother ever cheated on him. He cheated on her with 2 different women and had 2 kids each with them that are at least 3 years older than me. My mother got tired of being cheated on. He left her. She got with an African man, a Nigerian brother, and had me. You're mad because your mess ups came back to bite you in the face, like literally sit here and look you in your face every day. And you had to look at the result of your mishandlement. My mother did what you did to her, and karma came back. And so you're angry about that. So all of that stuff that kept going was, how can you blame me for what he was doing to her and then what he was doing to us? Because mind you, that he did not beat on them, he just beat on me worse. He was still beating on them. He was still yelling at them. He was still calling us out our names. But it was just that I got the bad end of it. It was much worse for me. And once they moved out, it became a whole nother level of abuse for me. I went from being hit with things to being thrown into things, getting my head shoved through walls, getting slammed. It was like that type of abuse. It wasn't that, oh, you got a whooping. No, because as black people, most of us are like, oh, whooping, spanking stuff. We know about that. No, that was the dragging by the hair and all of that stuff. That's that abuse. It's almost like he tried to make me be the slave of the house, and I was a doormat. But when I started to fight back, he didn't know how to handle me. He thought he had broke me, and I was like, no, that's not gonna work. But I was blamed for all of that, all the way up until she passed away, and Kelly got a dose of that at the end, right before my sister passed. Listen, I had nothing to do with that. Let me put this out here as a disclaimer. I've been having to say this for the past couple of years, y'all. I had nothing to do with her death. I was not around. I'm just gonna say I separate from that because I don't need y'all thinking that either. I wasn't around at all. So like literally we separated. Her father died in 2020, and then my sister died in 2021. And she blamed me even, we were doing pretty good until her dad died. And then right after he died, everything shifted. Then it was back to she wanted to kill me. She was angry with me. I mean, let it be known. I mean, just loudly let it be known. All of this stuff was going on, and it just kept going. Do y'all know that I sat and was like, I'm not trying no more. I don't need a relationship with her anymore. I tried this last time, but when I came to her in 2018, when my son actually made me call her like, y'all need to fix this, my conversation with her was, we have not talked in 3 years. Three. So let me help you. You're talking to me as the grown woman that I am now, not as the child that you remember. I'm not going to allow you to talk to me crazy. I'm not going to allow you to threaten me. I'm not going to allow you to mishandle me. You're going to come to me as an adult. If you cannot do that, go back to your 3 year. We'll keep this going. I'm good. I'm living my life. I got my business. I'm not connected to you in any way. I don't care what's going on in your life. I really was trying to just have that sisterhood. And I've already learned how to be a sister because God gave me a beautiful one that steps in. And now we'll tell y'all in a minute, wherever my sister is a non-judgment zone. Don't walk in her space. Like that's that's who Eve is for me. That's my sister. He gave me a sister named Eve. Okay. And I love her dearly, and she's always taught me that you need to love yourself regardless of what people say around you. And that's what started my journey on this. A pastor, and I met her through the pastor, and it's just been ongoing with us. And I'm like, God, she showed me what a big sister is supposed to be like, and she makes it her business to say, "Hey, little sister," because she does that to me because she wants me to realize that I am still the little sister, and as a little sister, I can still receive love from a big sister. Because for a long time, I couldn't trust women, like I didn't trust women or men, but I really didn't trust women. Like I would tell you, this ain't my circle. It's too many females around. Throw some dudes up in here. I can't work with a whole bunch of women. I would be like, oh, the whole team is women? Yeah, I'm going to back up off this project. Let y'all have that. Go for it. I'll put in my 2 cents when you need me, but I'm not going to meet up. I had to adjust my thinking, and I did that. So now I can be in a room full of hundreds of women and be okay. I can sit and work with women and will be who God called me to and be okay. Because somebody had to show me that's okay to be open for somebody to love you for real and to have your back. And this is what a sister is. And now I can show other people what it is to be a sister because I can love on other people like a sister does and not feel like I gotta be protected or that I won't have anything to add to their lives. So yeah, that's pretty much your answer. I think I hit it. But if anybody else have anything else to add to that, where you at? What you doing? Open your mics. Feel free.
That was good.
Amen. We good on that? Huh?
Thank you.
You're welcome. I see you. Because Kelly ended up being one of my little sisters. Look at that.
Yeah.
Oh man, sometimes I didn't now listen. Sometimes Kelly make you go, yep.
And that's what little sisters are supposed to do.
Listen, can
Make you
I?
go,
Yeah, let me tell you what I do though. I'm quick with it. Hey Eve, Kelly is hey Eve just go, oh. I'd be like, I need help. We got this situation going on, and my brain went the wrong way. So, am I wrong that this is the way I handle it? Because Eve is quick for it. Do not. Like, you are good. You got this. And she's like, you have been equipped. Oh, we talk about you a lot. It's always the stuff that I know I can say. And you know I am. So you know I'm not gonna tell anything that I'm not supposed to. But
it's Eve. I really don't care.
I know. And it's just funny because I've accepted Kelly as my little sister. Eve is like, because Eve and them are funny, so I can't just be like, oh, that's my sister. Eve like, no, she's not. What do you mean? That's the way they are with me. So once I talked about Kelly and she got a chance to meet Kelly and talk to Kelly, it was like, okay, I see it. I was like, yeah, yeah, I'm stuck with this one. Like she's like that. She's like that. I'm trying to figure out how to call it. Where that layer of skin that you want to pick it off, but you know better.
Oh God, y'all, this is sounding like it's getting worse and worse. I'm a layer of skin that you want to pick off.
But you can't. You gotta leave it
You
alone
can't.
because it gotta stay there.
You need to heal completely.
Look, and the only reason why I say it like that, y'all, is because literally, um, Kelly is that one that Kelly is that one that keeps you on your toes, like for real. Like she doesn't let me get away with anything, but she also is well something. She also is that one that's gonna come at you with like certain issues, and you like Kelly, I told you that this is fine. No, because I told, and I'm like I feel like we're little kids, but sometimes we're on conversations, and I'm thinking like Kelly's 5, I'm about 7. Kelly, come go with me. It's like that type of relationship that I see. Like,
If y'all could see my face, I literally got this big Kool-Aid smile on because most people will probably be like, that sounds really rude. And I'm like, no, you
no,
don't.
you got to know me to know that that's all love because that's stuff that I didn't have. All of those things that I didn't have, I get full on as a big sister with Kelly. Like,
Yes, and all those things I didn't have, I get full on.
yeah,
Because sometimes I'll be like, oh, wait, you big sister me for real. Y'all didn't heard me say that before. Oh, wait, you big sister me. Okay.
yeah, sometimes I have to do
And
that.
then she do it, but I know it's still love. Even
Yes.
she'll get a little stern with me sometimes, and I'll be like, "Oh, you for real, big sister? Okay."
Yeah, but it's always out of love and out of correction, especially when I'm hearing God tell me something and I try to explain it to her and then she act like she don't know what I'm talking about, but she do. Then I got to come back to big sister again. So then the tone changes, right? And then as Brandon says, my son, he goes, "Did you know you just ministered TT Kelly?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You just gave her a minister's voice." I'm like, "Did I? Oh, I need to apologize for that." He was like, "No, no, no, it was on point though." Like, what?
Thanks, nephew.
See, you always taking up for him. But that's, those are those things that
That's
you have to
okay.
get to. So, yeah. Let's see. Maya, do you got a question for us? I saw that heart goes up, which means you're by your phone.
Yeah, condition my hair now.
Amen. Come on, bounce.
Yes, yes. um, let me think. Let me think. Let me think. Let me think. Mm, give me a minute.
Okay. Just give me a thumbs up when you're ready. John, do you have a question for us? John, are you there? Are you still working?
I think he was at work. Just
Okay.
trying to dip in and out.
Yep, he'll send a message through. If y'all have any questions, please, please, please be ready to pop up because I'm going to go ahead and open up the platform. I have to reset again, y'all, because God knows that when He gives an instruction to me, I try to stand on it, and we kind of got away from it, and so I'm now getting back to it. So if you're on here when we start, we're pulling you up during that time while I'm opening it up for the platform for the crew to come up, and if you're not, then you'll be there until we pull you up on this next segment. So we are about to open up the platform for questions and talk. So I'm going to send out invitations. If you don't want to come up, you don't have to. Y'all know the ones that have been in here, you know how we do it. You got the comment section. You can drop it in the comment. You can continue to listen in, or you can come up and talk to us. So invites are going out right now. And we are on air for another, um, I want to say, am I wrong? I'm looking at this like I might be wrong. Another, well, it's at 10 o'clock this morning because I'm looking at it. I kept thinking 9:45. I'm like, oh, that's only like 9 minutes. We gotta make this thing happen. So, good morning, Miss Candace. How are you?
Good morning. How are y'all doing?
We are doing good. Our topic today is rejection, and I know you came in after, but we've had a pretty good conversation. I think so. If y'all on here, we had a pretty good conversation. Throw up those emojis. You know how you feel about the conversation. Make sure the emojis are seen. There's yeah, yeah. Okay, we got some fire going on. Hey y'all. Hey, I'm talking to the people that's live. Hey, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. All right, we got some praise hands going up. We got some fire hearts going up. Look, I like the fire hearts. I'm loving this. I mean, from beginning to end, I'm loving it. All right, so Miss Candace, so talking about rejection, do you have a question for us? Even if it's something that we've already answered, y'all, we're gonna try to get back to making sure that that's answered properly. And so the mic is yours, Miss Ma'am.
How exactly do you deal with rejection?
Anybody want to get that one?
Okay, so I'll say, I just, because I can only use myself. For me, dealing with rejection was not easy. It's still something that I'm working through, but I think what's made it a little easier for me to start the process and maneuver is the fact that um, I have I have certain people around me that show me what it's really supposed to be like, what it really feels like to feel genuine appreciation, what it feels like to feel genuine love, to feel genuinely wanted, to feel genuinely needed, but not always feeling like I need to be needed, if that makes sense. So, um, changing my atmosphere and changing my circle is how I'm able to maneuver through rejection. I mean, of course, like I said, I still have certain things I'm dealing with, but still having that core now that replaces, maybe not replaces probably in the right word, but is available for me. So that's it.
I would say as far as dealing with rejection, I would say it depends on what that feeling of rejection is coming from, which is why I started it off like that. Finding out what the core of the rejection is the way you learn how to deal with it. Mother wounds were one of my cores for me, and so even though I had the father situation, my situation was a mother wound because just like I think it was Terrell that said that his parents didn't want him, Terrell, and so me finding out from my mom that I wasn't wanted before I found out that my stepfather was not my actual father, she let me know that he didn't want me and that she tried to abort me at home. Like they didn't even want to go to the hospital to make sure that it was done correctly. Like she was willing to hurt herself to get rid of me, or he was willing to hurt her, I should say, to get rid of me. So they literally tried to, according to my aunt, and I had to verify this with my auntie, who said the stuff that they did to try to get rid of you was they should have went to jail for. Taking stuff, drinking things. He tried to beat me out of her. It was a lot that happened in that household that I found out about later. So hearing from my mother that even in her womb, she didn't want me because of fear for her life, but he didn't want me either. That rejection stayed with me, and I felt like that was something that should have never been told to me. I feel like if that's the way you felt, you should have never said it. Now, I turned around with that same thing and told my son the way I felt about it, and I told him I never wanted kids, but I was also told that I was a barren mother. I would never be a, well, I call myself a barren mother now, but I was barren and I would never have children. So he is literally my miracle child because my body was not, because of an injury that I endured when I was younger, I couldn't have children. So my thing when I told him was like I never wanted kids. I was like I didn't want to have children, and I was going off of the yeah we're gonna have this kid agreement with his father because I knew I couldn't have him. But I messed up and told B that I never wanted kids, and his response was, "Mom, like why would you tell me that?" And it flashed in my head like, "Whoa, wait a minute." I had to correct it real quick though. I said, "Let me finish my conversation. I need to learn how to say things differently." I never intended to have children because I didn't know I could. I thought I wasn't worth being a parent because of what I went through and because they didn't want me because that rejection was still there. So I had to turn that thing around and tell him, I love you. I would never give you up. If I had to change everything about the situation, you would still be in my life. I would never say I don't want you. I said the thing was is that I was young and I made a decision and I have you and it was a struggle. But at the beginning of this, I didn't want kids. But he changed my whole understanding about how I wanted to have a family. He was the best thing that God could have gave me in that time of me transitioning from being under somebody's thumb to being out in the open and not being reckless, that whole reckless person. He's the reason why I changed my life because I wanted his life to be better. Once I explained that to him that way, it calmed him down on, oh, you do love me. You do want me. So all of that stuff, I had to explain a lot of stuff to him. So fixing him, because for me, rejection, the way I fixed me for rejection was I started to think of myself better. I started to listen to the women that I had allowed in my circle, my godmothers that talked to me about being a woman and talked to me about loving myself, and a pastor that taught me how to get back to a place of love yourself. She first figured out that I never knew how because I never did. So we had to teach me how to love me and then teach me how to maintain it. That's the way I worked through me having that rejection and how to get it off of it was I learned how to accept me. And if you don't like me, then that's your problem, not mine. My son, I had to teach him, I'm not gonna let you walk around with this hurt of feeling like I don't want you. I'm gonna love on you. Like literally, y'all, because I was molested and raped, I had an issue with people touching me, like a big issue. So I didn't hug my son for years. Like it took, he was in preschool, about to go to kindergarten, when my mother told me he thinks you don't love him because you won't hug him and he see the kids being dropped off at school and their parents are hugging them. And then you just drop them off and go see you later. Y'all do y'all little handshake and you leave. But my son wanted a hug and he didn't know how to ask me for one. And that hurt me. And so I had to turn around and take that rejection off of him from us talking about it. He said, "Do you remember the first time you hugged me?" I do. That's a problem. If your child can tell you they remember the very first time that you hugged them, That's an issue. And the reason being is that literally it was the very first time I hugged him, and I was so scared. And it wasn't because he knew that I didn't want kids. It literally was just that I wasn't aware that um that I wasn't loving on him properly. So what I did was my mom told me that. She called me. She was like, he just told me that. Like, I think that you know that. And I'm at work and I'm like, let me get home. I came through the door. Y'all, I left work early, took my lunch break and was like, oh no, my child won't grow up like me, feeling abandoned in the house with people that love him. That's not gonna happen. So I was like, all the way home. I'm laughing myself on this, y'all. I was coaching myself all the way to the house. I'm driving fast too. I'm like, I'm a good mom. I love me. I love him. I can do this. I can hug him. He gonna receive this hug, and I'm not gonna squeeze too hard. All the way to the house. I promise y'all, I was in full confessions. Didn't even know about confessions. This is gonna be the best hug you ever had. And I'm like trying not to cry because I don't want to walk through the door in tears, right? And so I don't want to scare him. I just want to get there because I'm like, I didn't work that far. I just needed to get him to understand, yes, I do love you and I'm so sorry. Like I didn't realize I was harming you. So when I got there, I came through the door and he's looking at me like, what did I do wrong? Why are you here? And I was just like, hey, hey. And I'm talking to him. I'm taking myself out. My mother goes, oh my gosh. Like, you came all the way home. Yes. I cannot have a 5-year-old walking around here feeling abandoned, and he's been carrying this around because he was at this daycare since he was 2. So for 3 years, you've been watching the parents come in and drop their kids off and hug them and leave. For 3 years, you've been feeling like your mama don't love you for 3 years. Like I'm just a pick up and drop off person for him. And so when I got in the door, y'all, I'm talking to him, and I'm like, B, I was like, come here. He came and he's like, Mom, I didn't do that because he had to think about breaking his glasses, y'all. So we would have a conversation every week about stop breaking your glasses. Please don't do that. Like I'm paying for these. Like you need them to see. And so he came and he showed me his glasses first. Like I didn't break them, see. And I was like, oh, that's good. I'm glad. I was like, I just want to know how your day was. And he was like, yeah, it was a good day. But he's just looking at me like, what is happening right now? And I go, want a hug? Because that's all I had. I didn't know what else to do. So I was like, want a hug? And he goes, yeah, me? You want to hug me? And I was like, yeah. And my mom was like, oh my gosh. She's just sitting there going, this is funny. She's laughing at me, y'all, like literally full on laughing. And he's just like, yeah, but he's like, Mom, are you okay? That hurt my feelings so bad. He was like, are you okay? And I was like, I'm fine. I'm fine. I want to hug you. He walked up and he gave me a hug and he just held on so tight. And I picked him up and did the whole swirling him around thing and got back down on it. I was like, I love you so much. Like, you can always tell me if your feelings are hurt. You can always tell me if you feel like I'm not giving you what you need. Like, you can tell me. I'm like, and I don't mean like going to the store or anything like that, but if you need a hug, you can always say, Mom, hug me. I was like, Mom's working on some things, so he understood that part that I was working on something. Pretty smart kid. So I was just like, Mom is working on her own hurt, but I don't want to hurt you. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna hug you, I'm gonna kiss you, I brought you a snack, here's some candy, bribing the kid, here you go. Just all of that. And that started us on our journey of being able to have that open conversation and him being able to express himself to now sometimes I'm like, be quiet, just like don't tell me. I don't wanna know. But I mean he's 25 now. So now at 25 years old, he's like, I can tell my mama anything, and so can everybody else. So if my friends need a counselor, they go to my mama. Or he'll come and he'll just sit and Kelly and them will tell y'all it's random. Like yesterday, he was getting on my nerves. He kept hugging me. It was like, what did you do? Like, what did you do something? And he's like, no, I just came in to love on you. I'm like, okay, you just need a hug. And he's like, yep. I'm like, just say that. I mean, because all these random, I'm talking and you just pop out of nowhere and there's a hug. Like, scare me. So I give him a hug and I'm like, okay, have a great day. And he's fine. It's those moments. He just needs them and he'll walk away like it's nothing. Like, okay, I'm good. I'm straight for about an hour or three, and then he's back again for a hug or a dab or something. But after that first hug, he was literally like asking, is it okay if I hug you today? And I said, you do not have to hug I ask for permission. You can enter in my circle, in my zone, and hug me whenever you want, and I'm gonna hug you back because we needed to do that. But that's the way that I made sure that he didn't feel rejected as a child, and as an adult now we can have these conversations where I'm like, okay, I don't want you to feel rejected. I don't want you to feel like, I'm not here for you. But you do everything that you can do to set yourself up to deal with it if it's you. I know that you just got married, so if it's your husband, counseling works. It comes, I think, when it's like the opposite person. For those who are like, I know that this person is dealing with rejection, sometimes counseling is the best way to go, because coming from somebody that they're close to or somebody that they love, they don't receive it as quickly. It's not receptive. So counseling definitely is something that's of importance. But yeah, that's it. Y'all know I got a story. I be trying not to do it, but yeah, there it is. Did that help, Miss Candace?
Yes, that helped. Thank you for the advice.
All right. Anybody else? Maya, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
What you got?
I was just gonna say, yeah, and definitely just talk to yourself and be honest with yourself. Because if you like, oh, I'm feeling this thing, and it's you also gotta know, is this really like in line with what's actually happening? Remember, I always try and tell myself whenever I'm communicating, period, I try and tell myself to remember who I'm talking to, because usually the people there's a certain amount of honor that you have for anybody anyway. People, when you're talking deep with somebody to the point where they can trigger something in you that's real deep as well, y'all have a little bit of a track record. So I just remember who I'm talking to, like to now, I'd be like, Maya, this woman adopted you, and she really ain't have to. She ain't really know you that well, but she knew she loved you. You know what I'm saying? And she
Yeah.
made decisions out of that. So even if so at this point, Janelle could talk crazy to me. That's real. And I would have to be like, okay, Maya, remember who you're talking to. It really that. And then that's how you can tell yourself, for real, this is a feeling, but it's not truth. And then just talk back to that thing. Where do I feel it in my body? Why? Why? Why?
Yes.
And I think we go to why a little too early, and then that can get us to a place sometimes. Maybe I should just say me. That can get me to a place sometimes if I go to why before I go to who. It's like where you're more likely to be combative, because why? Why do I feel this? Because you. What? No, baby. Because you.
Yes.
Because at some point you internalize something, and it don't got to be your fault, but it's a relationship that's between the relationship between you and you. And then I also look at later, because how you do one thing is how you do everything for real. I'm like, okay, how is this also showing up in how I walk around this world, number one, but how I walk when I'm talking to God? You know what I'm saying? Because every step I take, I'm saying something to God. But when I'm actually like what? Yeah, how am I responding to God? And how is this just kind of been hiding? And just uncover that thing. That's the biggest thing with anything that you are walking with deliverance through, or whatever the case. You just got to uncover that thing and keep it uncovered. Because I've noticed, I said, Lord, and I think that's why I'm in the season I'm in now anyway. Because I told him, like, honestly, Lord, I don't want none of these false coverings where I have been, where I've put a little blanket over something, or where I have allowed somebody else to kind of program me a certain type of way. Like, remove the false coverings so that I can just accept your covering. Remove the illusion of safety so that I can really walk in truth, and that will be my safety. So that's all I got.
That was good. Y'all cracked me up with that's all I got. Like it was little. I'm not Jesus. But to God be the glory. I'm with you on that. You have to come out of that place of feeling like, you are covered all the time, and for any moment I'm covered, but I still have to have the awareness of who I am, what I'm saying, and who I'm saying it to. And I see Kelly Whip had to jump off, so she's going into a meeting. Praise the Lord. But I still got our Amber J on with us, and we have John still in the midst with us. I know he's listening. And Miss Candace is on the platform now, and Maya, that was Maya that y'all heard. That's how Miss Shonda. I hope I'm saying your name right. Hi, Miss Chidema. I think that's right. I hope that's right. If it's not right, break it down for me, please. But yeah, so we're back here and we are live right now on F2G Radio, on our YouTube page at Faithful to God Network, and on our Facebook pages at F2G Radio, F2G.radio and F2G.entertainment. And also on my personal YouTube page and my personal Facebook page. We are live on I Am Tennille. So I'm happy to have you all back with us one more time as we make this transition off of the station. We will be moving quickly. Hey, I got it right, y'all. Check it out. Woo! Um, I got a name right for y'all that don't understand what I'm saying. I got a name right. So we're going to transition off of the station now. Have the rest of our conversation right here on Clubhouse. If you want to join us, you can do that right here on Clubhouse at f2g.network on Clubhouse. Come over, join the house, follow the house. If you have a red or pink ticket, I can't remember what color it is, at the bottom of your house, that means you're a guest. My grandmama said one day you here, you a guest, the next day you family. So we're gonna need you to get that ticket off and go ahead and join the house so you can be involved in all the good things that are coming up, the discounts that are happening. And we will be dropping for those that are in the that's a part of our house. We will be dropping for you all your yes, you're a mid one, your discount code for watching the sound check, which you'll see the flyer for up on here and also on the page on Clubhouse and also on our pages. But you'll get a chance to be admitted in there with your discount to be able to watch it online live. We made it so you all can watch the showcase. Now the networking part is in person. So if you're in Chicago and you want to be a part of that, you can purchase your tickets. All tickets can be purchased on Eventbrite. If you are part of our house or part of our Patreon page, you get this discount for the Eventbrite. So don't buy your tickets until you get it. Send me a message. The message, that means text me. Don't call me. I'm not going to answer. I need you to text this number. The number is 872 205 6025. That's 872 205 6025. Amber, can you drop that in the chat for me as I drop it over here to them? And I want y'all to text that number, and I want you to text it whether you're a Patreon member, like you subscribe to Patreon, which is patreon.com, patreon.com/F2G. And I'll make sure that you have that on there as well, where you can get all of our exclusive interviews, see some of our teachings, some of our clubhouses are being added over there as well. So you get the opportunity to be a part of that. You can have it if you're over there or if you're part of our house right here on Clubhouse. So we got some stuff to do and we are working through some things. So let's get it done. So let me go ahead and drop that information in here really quickly. And does
Yeah,
anybody
it
have
won't. It it won't let me keep saying invalid error when I try to type
oh
anything.
wow. It's
It don't
messing with
like
you
me
today,
doing it.
huh?
Yeah, the devil is mad.
Oh,
I
he
know.
can well, you know.
He
The
said I
devil
can't join the club. Well, I don't want to join the club, but he
listen.
mad.
That's all right. Look, we say you got your own club, you don't need to join his. All right, so there's the number, and then I'm gonna go ahead and drop this in here. I don't know what's going on, but he can get up off your typing finger. We ain't got time for that. You trying to mess with my moderators? We ain't doing that today. Like they still gonna be who they are. You still the chief operations officer and the head of security. So I'm putting the Patreon inside of the comments as well. And there we go, and we have it. So does anybody else have any other questions? They're cool. Y'all, these videos that she be putting up throws me for a loop every single time. So, does anybody have any other questions about rejection? Mr. Dima, if you want to come up, you can. Just let me know, raise your hand, or I'm going to send you an invite and you can accept the invite to come up. If not, you can stay in the audience and talk through the chat, or you can just listen in. We are now clearing ourselves from F2G Radio. We're about to open this platform up just to be able to have a conversation because some of our people be scared to be on radio. I don't know why, but they do, and that's okay because that's their choice, that's their business. I'm like, Tabitha, listen, that because you want to. and all of those good things. But we are F2G Radio, and we are on f2gradio.net. We are a network of radio, entertainment, and apparel. That is being the apparel is being rebuilt, and everything is launching once again. We are the crew with the most amazing set of people. We are the ones that do F2G Eats, where we go out and review different restaurants while we're having good food and sometimes not so good food that we're going to tell you about. Okay. We're also the crew that runs in your community. So we will be airing out the information that's happening in your community, those things that have good that's in your community, those places that have a rise in your community. We don't have to be from your community to get that. You can get that information to us also by going to info at f2gentertainment.com, sending an email to us saying this is something that's happening in our community. We would love for you to interview this person or bring this person on to talk about it. We do that. We will come to your community and sometimes catch a flight to get to where you are so we can enjoy what you enjoying. We want to be a part. We want to know what's happening in your community too, because you never know when we're gonna have a spot in your community. I'm just saying. We did talk about Yes, we did talk about all those things. I was also talked about sound check. Sound check is August the 19th, y'all. We want to make sure that y'all are joining us. We have some amazing people on our feature list. And so I'm excited about it. We have our newest host that's taking my place. Yes. Thank you, God. I can't make the sound. Pew, 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 pew. Yeah, that right there. But listen, she's coming in to take my place. I actually get to work on the networking part. I will be the networking host for this event. We have Miss Wallace Smalls from the podcast, The DJ's Daughter. She is going to be our hostess for that evening and working the mic for that total event after the networking event that we have that earlier that day. And then Brianna Miles, nope, wrong Brianna. See how I messed it up. Sorry. Brie Alexandria, who is a part of our network, and she actually is the host of Amber's show that Amber created, Get Lifted. So Brianna is also an artist and amazing musician as well. She is going to be featured on that platform as well. And then also the third, amazing rapper, awesome rapper, amazing lyricist. Listen, this young man is totally, he slayed at our last one as well as Bree, and it was crazy. All mad love, and they wanted him back, so we got him back again. Also, we have the amazing and awesome and talented Devin Holloway coming through with those R&B sounds. Listen, this is a clean showcase, okay? So we're gonna have that. But we added another feature on there, y'all. My own. Listen, flesh of my flesh and bone of my bone, right? B Snow is gonna be in the building. He is gonna be the master director for music that evening, and he's having a live band. So y'all been asking for live music. We worked it out. It's in the contract now. We have a live band that's gonna be there playing for y'all. And yes, you can still bring your tracks and you can still play your own music for your show, but we do have a live band that will be covering our features and playing the surround sound music for our events. So y'all come in. It's gonna be power packed. We're gonna be networking. We will be interviewing businesses on site live on the radio, so you'll be able to hear that. If you're watching online, you'll be able to hear those things if you go on to f2gradio.net. 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, August the 19th. Let's get it. This is what we do and how we do it. I'm excited about it. Oh, I just went back to the page and Amber got these people. Let me. Y'all, why does she act up like this all the time? Amber, what is going on? Y'all, we are going to separate. What is going on with you?
I just like the Jiffy things.
I see. Just they are made for you.
They really are.
They are.
I
And you,
dream in GIFs, I think. I think my dreams be Jiffies. Okay,
okay. On,
sorry.
on that note, I do want to drop these scriptures because I brought them up that we will be having those up for you all today. I found the scripture concerning rejection. That scripture is Psalm 27:10. It says, when my father and my mother forsake me, then the Lord will take me up. When my father and my mother forsake me, the Lord will take me up. We still have the Lord Savior. We still have him as our father. He is still our covering. He's the one that makes sure that we are good. He's the one that goes to God on our behalf when we need it. He's the one that's resting in us. His spirit sits with us and talks to us. He's the one that's guiding our footsteps. We're never alone because he's always with us. When they say, the Bible says when two or more are gathered, when you pray, God is in the midst. I always know God is in the midst because I'm one and Jesus is always number two for me. Holy Spirit is number three. God is always there. So I feel like no matter where I am, it's always two or more. Now it's good when other people come in and join in, but that's the way I look at it. Is I'm never alone, so I'm always gonna be two. So you got to be in the midst of every prayer that I pray throughout the day, even when I wake up in the morning in my bed alone, and I say, God, thank you for the day, and just bless me to take another breath. Thank you. I know that He's in the midst of that because there's already that two or more. God will take me up. Lord will take you up because He's your Father. He's gonna make sure that He's a lawyer for you. He's your brother. He's your sister. He's all those things that you're missing. All those things that you think you need. He got your back. You never have to ask for it. He already knows. But we still cry out. And when we cry out, He's like, I hear you. I already know. And I'm still here. Now I need you to recognize that I'm standing right here. So, yes, they forsake you, but I won't. We've never seen the righteous forsaken, right? Or his seed begging for bread. And if he would listen, if he'll take care of the birds, what won't he do for you? It's a whole lot of scriptures that you can come in and use to remind yourself that you're not being rejected by God. Because the first thing is, God loves me, so I don't know what's wrong with y'all. You know that song, I love God. You don't love God. What's wrong with you, Erica? My thing is with that, I love God. And because I love him, I know he loves me. So if don't nobody else love me, I do everything for an audience of one, not an audience of 25,000. So as long as he love me, I'm on the right track. I'm good. I'm straight. Like if you join in, you're a bonus. That's where I'm at. If you join in and do all that, you are definitely a bonus. You are definitely a bonus. So y'all make sure y'all carry in Psalm 27:10 with you and remember that always because we don't want you to feel rejected when you start to feel rejected by anybody. Add in those people. If it's not your mother, your father, when my friends forsake me, when my teachers forsake me, when my children forsake me, because sometimes they will, then the Lord will take me up. Always know that He's always there, always to be there with you forever. All right, so we are separating from the radio. Y'all don't go nowhere on Clubhouse. We're gonna go ahead and get this thing started. We love you guys so much and so good. Hope y'all have a blessed day. Let's get this day going. His promises will never be taken away. If He promised it to you, wait on it. It's coming. His timing, not yours. Love you guys, and we out of here.